What's going on, everybody? It's Enrique here with this time on our new Launchkey Mini Mark III. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this one. Hopefully, you get what you're looking for out of it. And without further ado, let's just kind of get a quick little glance overview of the Launchkey Mini Mark III, some of my favorite features, as well as some of the added things, and its controls within Ableton Live, and some of the stuff that it can do now that it has the MIDI out port. As always, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to ask them in the comments and we'll get to them at the end of the video. And and if you're watching this after we've gone live, leave your comments down below too, because usually one of our tech guys will hop in there and figure a couple things out. So, all right, let's get into just the general overview. You got some mini keys. You finally got a pitch and mod wheel on the Launchkey Mini. You got some transport control, play, record, as well as capture if you're using Ableton Live, which is great. And the fixed chord option, which is super fun to use. And you also have an Arpeggiator with a ton of crazy features. The Arpeggiator is one of my favorite things on here. For example, if I just, let me go over here and see what this, actually, you know what? Let's try this one here. Cool, this one's pretty cool, but there's like some delay in space. Let me go ahead and take that off. What is that, knob 4? And there it is, in there. So check this out. If I turn on, actually, you know what? Before I jump into the features, I'm getting so far ahead of myself because I really like the Arpeggiator. Let's talk about what it does. We now got velocity sensitive RGB LED pads. They have a couple different modes. The knobs, 8 knobs as always. You have your custom modes, you got drum modes, and for the knobs you got custom mode as well. And the custom mode in the knobs is really cool because you can use that to send MIDI CC messages out of the Launchkey to synthesizers. And I'll jump into it and show you a little bit later about components, but with components you can actually set these up to be on a specific MIDI CC controlling another synth externally. All right, we got some program changes, octave up, transpose, your shift button, which helps you access a lot of different things on the unit itself, and a bunch of other Arpeggiator basically parameters on top of the knobs as well as above the keys. We also got a circle, triangle, and square here for future stuff. So if there's some stuff that you would like to have on a Launchkey, maybe let us know about it and we can add it. We wanted to make sure we had something as well to kind of figure out what, you know, as a hotkey, so we don't have to come up with some crazy combo. All right, well, that's that. I mean, the Launchkey Mini is such a small, simple, compact, but complex, powerful MIDI keyboard that you can take anywhere. You can see the size of it. My hands are right here, basically 2 of those, and you're good to go. Some awesome keys. The keys are velocity sensitive as well, which is great for playing drums, but why would you do that when you got drum modes right here and you can play your drums here? So from there, let's easy way of how to set it up in Ableton Live. So in Ableton, we will basically go over to Live, Preferences, and under our Link and MIDI tab, we got the Launchkey right here. So as long as it basically says this, the most important one to focus on is not the one that says MIDI port. The way Ableton, I wish you can make these bigger, but you can't. But this one here says Launchkey Mini Mark III output, Launchkey DAW port. So we want the DAW one, this one here and the DAW one. So if it says MIDI, you can ignore it. I have it there because I was doing some weird MIDI stuff earlier. And in here, Launchkey Mini Mark III. This is the control surface. Again, DAW port as well as DAW port, and you should be good. That's really it. It should work. Bam. And staying in Ableton, I can just access up and down on my template of what's going on by using these keys here. So these keys have like a little arrow key, left and right, up and down. And you can see that the up and down is not doing anything, but that's because in Ableton, I only have 2 cells. If I had some more stuff, maybe like way down here that I actually needed to access, it will then let me go, and if I had basically a bigger session, then I can go and access all those things. But we're just living inside 2 things here. And if I hit Shift and Sessions, it'll let us take control of our Ableton session. The great thing with the Launchkey, after you've set it up, you can pretty much set it and forget it. The next time you plug it in, it'll be good to go. And if we go and take a look at the Launchkey, it again has all these different features here that allow us to take control of Ableton. So if this right here is the stop solo mute button, stop solo mute as you would expect when you're playing some sessions and some songs back. For example, if I launch this little drum loop here, let me go to device mode. Right, launch my drums. So, stopping clips, right? I can stop stuff. Or I can launch the whole scene if I wanted to. Solos as well. Or you got your mutes. And you just go back. It helps you easily cycle through those. Holding down shift, I'm in devices mode. So this allows me to control the 8 most important, basically, knobs or parameters you would have on a device. One great thing about Ableton is that I can actually put in an audio effects rack and map 8 knobs on there to do whatever I want across multiple effects. It's a simple way to kind of come up with essentially just macro section and effects. So you can see if we go and take a look at Ableton, over here on the bottom left, I have an audio effects rack, and this has 8 sections, and these 8 knobs, I've gone ahead, I didn't even have to map them. They're mapped by default. But what I did do is choose what parameters of what devices I have here, for example, resonance, filter, and you can see with this little green knob, what is mapped to what. So this is a great and simple way to just basically control your devices. So again, turn that down. Right, and if we go and look again at the device over here, maybe I want a little more feedback on my delay. And perform it. So another great thing is if I stop those clips and I hold down shift and I go right, I can automatically arm whatever track I'm working on. So if I go here, I'm now right, or if I go one more over, go down an octave, and it'll auto arm. So if we take a look at the Launchkey, on the Launchkey Mini, when looking at it, you'll see that the tracks automatically get armed. So shift right, arm, shift right, or shift left, this track's now armed. So go here, this one's now armed. I can actually hit record and record directly from here without even having to touch Ableton. So let's say I launch these 2 clips again, go over twice. Turn up that, let's see. And then again, shift volume. I'm now changing what the knobs are doing, so I can then lower the volume of that. Maybe I want the filter turned back up, just go over to device mode. What's cool is if I hit record while the clip is playing, it'll turn on and activate overdub mode. So now I'm just recording the automation. So easy, simple, right? Let's stop this part. And now I'm gonna go ahead and actually stop this clip too. So I've jumped over to another basically sound, which is this one here. Is this one poly? Cool, it is. So let me show you the next awesome feature before we get to the ARP is the fixed chord. this is something I fell in love with an older synth. I believe it was on the Poly 6 that had the chord feature that I really, really loved. But if I hold down fixed chord, like let's say I like this chord, I can hold down fixed chord and enter in those notes. And when I let go, right, so let's play that drum beat back. Oh, and then of course go over. Yep. Lock it in. There it is, simple. Bring back some of that space. Maybe record that in. Let's see. Simple. Maybe I wanted to not use this space on here or the delay. I can switch over to sends mode and I have control over send A or send B. So let's give a little bit of reverb to our drums. And then send B for track 3 delay. Dope. Device, turn the filter down again. Sweet, that'll work. Let's go over to our bass. Go down an octave. Oh, perfect time to show off this ARP. So we got this beat going. If I hit ARP and turn ARP on, it'll do exactly what you would expect. Arpeggiate, right? So let's say I liked this. I can hold down ARP and hit latch here, and that'll turn on key latching. So if I hold down a note, it's playing. If I hold down ARP, I now have access to these different values here. Maybe eighth, and I even have access to the gate time, so I can make it super plucky or way longer or shorter. And another important thing to know is all this, the fixed chord, the arpeggiator and all that stuff, works over the MIDI out port. So with the MIDI out port, you just go jack to jack, it's an 1/8 inch MIDI in, or you can get a dongle which is sold separately, or if you get something basically that dongle sold separately, and there's a lot of other dongles out there that already exist, so you might even have gear that already has this on it, which is why I like to just go jack to jack into like a Zoya or an O-Coast or any of the Korg devices. It works perfectly fine. All this stuff that I'm doing here will apply to the arpeggiator on the way out. So check this. We'll key latch, either hit there or here. It's the same thing. Basically when I hold down ARP, these will change whatever I'm doing here. So we have basically ARP mode page, which is the purple, the rate, which is the second orange page here. We'll do 16 octaves, which is blue, 2, 3, 4 octaves. We'll just stick to 1. Let's not get too crazy. Then rhythms is the yellow. We got basically this one, this here, and they all kind of change the way they play. So again, if I play a chord, you can change the rhythm. You even have a swing. Check this out. You even have negative swing. That's dead center, nothing. A little more. And if you wanted to come up with a new rhythm, just hit deviate. This knob will then start deviating what's playing. Let me set it to an 1/8 so I don't annoy the crap out of you. So as I move this, it'll select a new rhythm, basically randomly generated, and kind of keep. That's cool. Maybe mutate. So what mutate will do is something similar to deviate for the rhythm, but just to pitch. Maybe here. So the higher up I go in mutate, the crazier the pitch will be. So if I turn deviate all the way down, eventually it just starts adding random notes. But as I go up, it'll start adding thirds, then fifths, then octaves, then just weirder stuff. Maybe move it a little bit. That one's kind of cool. So then, now that that's going, we'll go over here. background devices. So one of my favorite things to do is while this plays, I can go and move the mutate around. So I'm going to record in a clip. It's recording. So now I'm just recording a bunch of movement, right? Stop that recording. And now if I pause it, let me turn key latch off, and we go and look at Ableton. In Ableton, if I double click this here, you'll see all the MIDI notes that we have. So I'm going to go ahead and solo this. So this section right here was actually kind of cool. So if I'm going to just go and highlight this, bada bing, bada boom, loop that. Now I got myself a new clip. And if I wanted, just duplicate that and then take this loop and just, I don't know, choose a new random one maybe here. So now we got two loops. We have this one. Right, play that with everything. Oh, I have it soloed. Yeah, that one works. Or we got the other one. All made with that arpeggiator and the fixed chord. Oh yeah, now we just activated the drum mode and launched a new clip. So I'm gonna go over to drum mode and I have access to the drum sounds if, let's see where we at. Oh, I'm too low an octave. Let's see where they at. The drums are, did I go too low an octave? Oh, I must have gone too low an octave. I moved them down. Let's see. There they are. Again, if we go and take a look at the clip and we look at the Launchkey Mini, I can just go ahead and play something in here. Hitting this, I got the overdub. So let's say. Cool, easy. And then in Ableton, you can just easily quantize that. Go back over to session mode, drop down to see the other section. Device mode. That's for the other track. But I mean, it's super simple, the amount of possibilities you have with this within Ableton and just being able to kind of quickly create and go down through what you're doing on the Launchkey area. So again, you got the fixed chord, you got the arpeggiator, you got all the arpeggiator parameters, and with the fixed chord section. Oh, we got a question in actually. What does it say? Fixed chord, one more time. Cool, yeah, totally. So again, the fixed chord, I'm glad you asked that question because the fixed chord's one of my favorite features about this thing. If I find something that's polyphonic, let's turn it, right? So, so say I like this chord. If I hold down fixed chord, you'll see it starts to flash. I can either enter in the notes one at a time, right? And when I let that go, it'll stay bright. Or the other way to do it, which is basically the same, is as I hold down fixed chord, I can just hit what chord I want. And now that's in there. So the fixed chord, super simple to use. The arpeggiator, again, you got all those crazy modes and whatnot. And let me see if I can hop over into let's see, new Novation components. This is something that's really cool. I want to show you here. So let's see. Boom, I'm plugged in. I got the Launchkey into my computer. I'm going into Google Chrome and Launchkey Mini. Bam, right here. I'm going to exit this tutorial because I am the tutorial. I'm going to show you how to use this. So create a custom mode or upload a custom mode. That's the great thing about this is you can actually download and upload your own custom templates as well as send them and share them. So you can see here by default we got a couple modes already set up, like the Electribe, we got the model samples up in here, peak, different scales, Summit, Volca Bass, Volca FM, all these things that can accept MIDI CCs that we can assign. So if I hit create a custom mode, we can see here, boom, we got basically all the pads, we can look at all the pots, as well as what the sustain pedal input is doing, because I forgot there's a sustain pedal on the Launchkey Mini. That's insane. The sustain pedal is basically the same size as this thing. So if we go and take a look at the pots, you select a pot and you say what MIDI CC is it doing. So I think on like the Moog Siren or something, for example, it's, you know, CC 20, no, I think it's 18. I can't remember. It's either 18 or 22 is like the filter cutoff. So once you do this, you know, let's say 22, what's the pot called? It's going to be called filter, let's get all cool with it. Filter, let's do frequency. There we go. And what is this custom mode called? Let's just say Siren, right, from Moog. So then I'll save this. Now I can download it, I can save it as, or I can just send it to the Launchkey. And now it's sent to the Launchkey. So now when I go to shift in custom mode, this is now sending MIDI CC 22. And again, in here, you basically turn on and turn off what the modes are doing here. And after you've saved this and overrid it or whatever it is, you can access it later and share it with friends and whatnot. So the CCs in here are super simple. You can even change what notes are being sent out on what pads, what their off color is, what their on color is. So we could do like green, yellow. And this is just kind of handy if you have these set to do very specific things on a specific MIDI channel. So again, on color, off color, and whatnot. And then again, let's send to Launchkey, and you should basically be good to go. Let's see, custom mode. Yeah, boom, right there, matches my screen. And that's really it when it comes to components. It's so just plug and play, ready to go, especially if you're using something like this with Ableton, you're set. Or even hardware with the 5-pin and the 1/8" adapter. It's so much fun. I've been using this with the MPC 1000 and I love it. Being able to have this many keys, not just a single octave, and they're velocity sensitive as well as the velocity sensitive pads. The cool arpeggiator and the fixed chord has been pretty much game changing for me. But yeah, I want to say that pretty much covers what this thing can do, especially when it comes to utilizing this thing. So let's see if there's any more questions or anything like that. Do we have in the chat? Christian's here helping me out at the Novation HQ. Cool. Sweet. He says none. There are no questions. Again, quick overview. You got pitch wheel, you got mod wheel, customizable knobs. The knobs will take control over things in Ableton, and they will take control over things over MIDI if you set them up to do so. You got device mode, volume, pan, sends for Ableton stuff, session mode to take control of your session in Ableton. This will do all the stopping, soloing, and muting. You can kind of travel around in your session here, up and down, left and right. So if you do have a bunch of different things in your session and you want to just launch them live here, you totally can. And oh yeah, and another note about the 5-pin MIDI. So here's some history for you in case you're not familiar. With Circuit and the Launchpad Pro right now, we made some MIDI dongles for them that at the time we made them, there was no MIDI standard for going from the 1/8", the 3.5mm to the 5-pin MIDI. So now there is a, what is that? Some pads is Launchpad? I don't even, oh, same, yeah. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. So now there is a standard after we've gone and made what we made. So the new standard is technically not what we made before, but going forward, we're always going to stick to the standard now, because now that there is one, we know what to do. So if you do have like a circuit dongle or the Launchpad Pro dongle, it won't work with the Launchkey Mini because those weren't made to the standard that these are now made at. So make sure to check that when you do have it. But if you have something like a Korg or the O-Coast or some Arturia stuff, I'm pretty sure those will work with these, especially the Korg and the O-Coast or the Make Noise things. And the pads do feel really good. They're improved. They're a little bigger than they used to be, and I want to say they're pretty much the same as the Launchpad ones. They might be a little different dimension, but the quality of them is definitely improved over the Launchpad ones. I really, really like the way the pads feel, especially for velocity sensitivity. So if you go to something like drums, and let me make sure I go over to, what track is it? This one here that has the drum rack in it. Oh, I must have done so. Oh, it's not this track, it's this track here. So I can do really soft. So the pads feel really, really good. We got another question coming in, and the question is, will this work Hold on, Christian's writing a little slow and kind of messy. I got the camera or the computer facing a different way. So the question is, will this work a circuit to play synth 1 and 2? Totally. So if I hit shift and transpose, I can select what MIDI channel 1 through 16 this is currently working on. And if we take a look at the computer, not the Launchkey, you can see that there's a circuit setting here in the computer. So with that setting here, these knobs, let's say, yes, leave this page, and I'll send this. So these pots now control the macro on the circuit. So these will control all 8 knobs, as well as the keys will play in circuit. And what's cool is if you hit record on circuit and you play the keys here, it'll record these MIDI notes into circuit's sequencer and then loop them back immediately. So that's another fun way to use this with something like circuit. It'll totally work, which is great. And no, there isn't a sequencer. We only have the arpeggiator in here. We wanted to kind of keep the cost down and, you know, basically build a really good simple MIDI keyboard with a fixed chord and the arpeggiator, as well as a really good controller for Ableton Live. So we did not put the sequencer in here. It would have been a little crazy, but that's a really good idea, actually. Man, that would be really cool. But yeah, without further ado, I appreciate you guys for hanging out. Again, if you have any questions, especially if you're watching this after, leave them down in the comments. I'm gonna go and play this fat beat on our way out. And yeah, I'll catch y'all soon. Peace.